Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Top Lessons podcast. I am your host, Kathy Inglot, and with me today is a very special guest. She is an accomplished professional coach, speaker, author, and CEO. She is here to enhance your professional performance, elevate outcomes, and enhance an organization's bottom line. Welcome to the show, Dr. Deeawn Roundtree.
Thank you so much for having me, Kathy. I'm pleased to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love the picture of the back of your book behind you, which is something we'll talk about soon.
Okay, great.
You are an accomplished woman by all means. And I'm so happy to have you here on the show because I think whoever is going to listen is going to pass it on to their children, their family, their friends, and they're going to say, inspired by your leadership. So I just wanted to mention a few things about you that are obviously distinguishing your career. Your career spans now more than 20 years in both education and sales. You are a seasoned professional, and your expertise is by no means limited by the many degrees that you have. 2 doctorate degrees in business administration and ministry, a master's degree in professional leadership and training and development. So you've spent a whole lot in education, but also you're bringing that to the table because you are a member of your community in extensive ways. So I'm not going to speak for you, but I'm just going to mention a few. You are on the board of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County. You are on the Women's Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach County. You are on the Genesis Community Health Center and Women's Circle, which is a job on its own if you think about it in all those communities.
It is.
And then also one of my favorite is you are a member and the chair of the Leadership Development Committee of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, which is also the AKA sorority, which you are so proudly a member of.
Yes. I'm in the Alpha Alpha Upsilon Omega chapter.
Oh, amazing. And I know there's over 360,000 members in the AKA sorority circle. So I hope that they're all going to listen and hear through this podcast all the amazing expertise you can bring to the table. I just wanted to share because obviously you have an amazing career and an amazing social circle. And I would love to say that you are a woman who hasn't finished her work. You're just beginning.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
With that in mind, can you talk about how you chose in leadership and why leadership is your passion to do what you do on a day-to-day basis?
Thank you for that question, Kathy. I think the passion grew from starting in the workplace right out of high school and being under leadership that, in my opinion, was not effective. And that was in the workplace, it was in the community, politically, everywhere I turned, I could see the lack of effective leadership skills. And it seemed as if people were leading from a dictatorial, command, bully, bossy kind of stance, or they were indirect, they were undermining or covertly sabotaging you. And I think from my personal experience, I am a woman of faith, and I believe that leadership should be enacted in a way that you would want to be led with kindness, with respect, seeing the value in others and not being threatened by it, but actually promoting it. And because I saw the other side of it, it birthed this desire for me to cultivate leadership within myself. And I'm still growing and still learning, but also to be a conduit and a facilitator for effective leadership skills for others.
Which is amazing because you launched your business to do exactly that, right? You launched Roundtree Training and Consulting to bring that leadership opportunity to anyone who is in demand, looking to how to upscale themselves. How do you make yourself more than what you've said is maybe you've had bad leaders and maybe you haven't had the right courses you've taken? And how do you ensure that you find the right course to actually come from someone who has that leadership expertise and is willing to share that with you to be able to make you better than you were when you were just starting. And I think it's very hard to do that because there's many books out there, right? You can self-teach, you can do all these self-courses, but they're not always as effective if you're not hearing it from someone who has that expertise themselves, right? When you say, look, I have amazing experience I could share with you in a quick and effective way. And after you finish the training, you will know what to do and what great looks like. Because I always say, we all know what bad looks like.
Yes.
And we've been there, seen it. We've had bad leaders and managers. We've had bad professors. How do you take that bad and turn it into better? And you have one of the written books behind you, which is Leading from Within. And I think it's an amazing book. I read it.
Thank you.
And I think it brings forward some great tips for how someone can take what they know, right? You don't have to take it from other people per se because you weren't in their shoes, but you could take what you've learned and what you've experienced and take it to that amazing excellence of doing what you know is better and bringing it forward to those around you. So if you can talk about some of the lessons you've learned by launching your consulting business and what you do to bring that expertise forward and talk about some of those lessons from your books.
So for me, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned is that, and I try to teach as much as possible, is the importance of emotional intelligence and self-awareness. Until an individual truly understands why they respond to people the way they do, why they feel the way they do, what buttons they are sensitive to, and then by identifying who they are, knowing who they are with that self-awareness, understanding their personality, then understanding too how to self-regulate. I believe that a lot of us, we just feel what we feel and we allow our emotions to dictate how we behave. And until we understand who we are as individuals, why certain things bother us, why certain things make us joyful and happy and content, until we truly understand who we are and how we respond to others, whether it's negatively or positively, because I believe whether it's negative or positive, we make choices on how to respond. And until we truly understand that we're making those choices on how to feel and how to respond to external stimuli, then we will always be at the whim of our emotions, which fluctuate and goes up and down constantly. And it takes intention.
For sure. And I think a long time ago, someone taught me a quick deviation between the two, responding versus reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Responding is that you are cautiously picking your words. You've had that breath, you've taken that time to respond to whatever it is that you think you need to respond to, but you've done it intentionally. You have taken a step and you said, well, if I react versus reacting, which is that hot, bothered kind of, I'm just going to do it with my emotion before I actually think about what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very different ways of responding, because I know that from what I've always seen in leadership is the people who have that reaction and they are quick and hot and bothered are very hard to become great leaders. They don't have the self-awareness that it takes to be able to respond accordingly, to be able to take the moment. And look, we all have our traumas, right? We all have traumas that have made us and molded us throughout the years. Maybe someone knows how, as you said, poke the button correctly, right? Like they're poking you with intention. And you are falling for that exact mandate that they have to how to make you react. But you as a leader and as someone who has, seen good and read the books and qualified with the leadership courses, know how to, you have to take that and respond accordingly.
Yeah.
And I think you do it in such an amazing way in your book. You say you have to be self-aware. You have to have that awareness about what makes you react, what makes you be that hot and bothered person. Because if you aren't aware, you're going to have a very hard time becoming that great leader.
Yes.
Now, I think one of the great things you do is you have the Black in the Boardroom initiative and the Ladies Lending the Ladder community.
Yeah.
which I would love for you to talk about, because I think both of them on their own, each of them is very impactful. But the fact that you do both is so inspirational, and the leadership opportunities in both of those is amazing. So can you talk about the lessons and what both of those bring to the table?
Yes. Thank you so much for asking, Kathy. Black in the Boardroom is a signature program I started. It's an executive coaching program for women of color. Many of us, as women of color, regardless of the workplace, it could even be church, it could be corporate, it could be nonprofit organizations. What I have realized is all of us are facing the same kinds of challenges. And because of double jeopardy, meaning we're women and we're women of color, we have more challenges than a woman who is not a woman of color. And so, in all of my years of working in various kinds of sectors, I've worked in corporate, nonprofit organizations, academia, ecclesiastical. And what I see is that no matter where we are, the same challenges are being heard and felt and dealt with. So I was motivated to provide this program, especially now, for women of color who are facing these dynamics, to provide a safe space where they could get the executive coaching that they need to succeed, whether they're in their business or if they're working for someone else. And then Ladies Lending the Ladder is the community. It's a free community for women of color to join, where we can bond and connect and meet in person and virtually, real time, to support each other, to help each other grow our businesses, to mentor and sponsor each other in the workplace, and just to be that safe haven for women who are struggling, whether it's in their business, trying to get access to capital, trying to get clients, or in the workplace, they're trying to get promoted, or they want to be perceived differently. That's what I'm choosing to do to support this community of women.
Amazing. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on here. And the reason why I even started this podcast is that there's a community that you can turn to be able to say, I need help. How do I get from A to Z? And maybe you can teach me your lessons that I don't have to fall on my own. I could learn from you. And by, almost listening to your story and your expertise, I don't have to commit those same errors or same mistakes you did. You can make me faster and better in a more, intentional way, where that expertise comes to me that could have taken me 10 years to get to.
Yes.
But I fast forward that to, 1 to 2 years by taking courses or taking training or being a part of a community that supports itself. As a woman myself, obviously, and having this platform, I'm so much for women supporting women. And I think in corporate America is where I grew up, spent most of my 20 years in. It's very hard to find that, per se, true inspiration and leadership, because one, in some of those places, you are working against each other because, you are fighting for the same promotion.
Yes.
Or you are seeing yourself as, colleagues that are, fighting for the same award or promotion or more money. And instead of taking that in a positive way and saying, when I win, we both win, or when you win, we both win.
Yes.
Right? We need to have that win-win situation for women. And there's a platform that you provide that helps young ladies especially, and I think part of the AKA community is that you have women of all ages. Whether you're coming up through the college program or whether you're coming after the college program, I think you're giving everyone the opportunity to say, come join us, be a part of our circle, where you can get your experience and your expertise much faster than you would if you did it on your own. But also, there are challenges you're going to face, so you should know about them. Those challenges, like you said, if you're both Black and a woman, you're going to be able to hear our stories and our issues. And if you hear them and see them, you're going to say, I know this because someone already warned me about this. How do I handle those situations? How do I make sure I'm not also being kept back from those opportunities? And I think the expertise and that leadership that you bring to the table is something you can't self-learn. You have to be able to take it and hear it from other people around you. And the way to do that is to just jump in both feet and join your circle and, pick up your books and be able to be inspired by you and what you do. But I know you just don't stop there. Obviously, the platform you have on social media is amazing. So, whether people just want to hear your video clips and join you for a few minutes, when you go live, you also are doing things that are obviously outside of social media. You're part of the boards of commerce in Palm Beach. You're part of boards that have not the intention of just women, right? It's everyone around you. But at the same time, you've learned through others, just like we learned through you. So can you share some of those lessons that you were inspired yourself by those around you?
You know what? I believe that having a genuine heart to want to help others and to give back has been tantamount to my success. I didn't know it at the time because I think my mindset and my heart wants to help others and support, and especially for women of color and the Black community in general, but also other people in the workplace. I hear all kinds of people having various struggles, but they don't know where to turn. And I love supporting corporate America going into the workplace and helping their would-be leader to gain the confidence they need to make great decisions. And so when it comes to giving back to the community, I have found that people have been able to get to know, like, and trust me. And that's all races, all genders. And it's a wonderful thing because they don't just see the superficial, they don't just see the social media posts and the flyers and my few-minute clips. They get to know who I am from my heart. And in each of these areas where I believe I'm called to serve, I try to make it better. And if I don't see a way that I can improve it, then I don't feel the value either for myself or for them for me to participate. But every area right now where I'm serving, I do see the value. I do see the reception. People need to be teachable, open-minded, and be willing to learn from each other, including me. And there's always something new to see, something new to understand deeper. Even if you think you know it, there's always a different perspective that takes your level of education to a higher level. So being open-minded, being humble-minded and teachable, listening to both sides, realizing that you don't have all the answers, no matter how many degrees you have or your credentials or experience, allows you to be so approachable and accessible that people want to get to know you. They want to get to know you on a deeper level. They get to know you, like you, and trust you at a deeper level versus superficial.
No, and I love that because you really are very approachable. And I
Thank
think
you.
it's so easy to see genuineness versus the facade of a pitch. And I think
Yes,
what you said is so true. If people don't trust you, they won't continue having a relationship with you, right?
that's
It's
right.
like the reason why you
Absolutely.
have so many doors open for yourself is because you have built that trust and people are continue wanting to hear your experience and your expertise. And I think for, the younger ladies, and I'm focusing on the ladies because this can apply also to the
Mhm.
young men, right? There's no
Yeah,
reason this can't apply to them.
absolutely.
But I think young ladies have, by science, by biology, this innate kind of lack of self-esteem that almost has to be, encouraged and brought out. And
Yeah.
it's not always learned easily. So when they
Mhm.
see it in a woman like yourself, and I love this because I do it with all my, guests is, and the reason why I bring people who are as distinguished as you is because if you see it, you want to be it.
Mm.
And if someone who sees you, they're like, how do I become Dr. Roundtree? How do I rip through the glass ceiling and be as
Mhm.
positive and as, trustworthy and as experienced as she is? And I think you allow yourself to be that mentor for other women that are, looking at you and saying, well, I'm 20 years old. I don't know what to do or how to,
Yeah.
how do I get there? And they're looking at you in your career path and saying, I can follow her career advice and I too can be successful.
Mhm.
And I think being that person, especially from a woman of color,
Mhm.
is so important because that inspiration needs to be there. Whether you're the first or the 100th, I think you need to continue being that inspiration to the younger generation. And I think you do it in such a way that, people love hearing your wisdom. And they're, whether they're reading your book or your social media, posts or meeting you in person, they're inspired. And I think when you look at yourself and you go, pat yourself on the back and you say, I did better than someone did for me.
Mm.
And I think having that distinguishment in your career that says, I know what I was lacking. I wish I had that, but I'm able to afford that ability to those that now are around me and be that listening voice
Yeah.
or the voice that inspires them. To say a little bit of the lessons that you just shared, I just want to take you back to your 18-year-old self. If you were back in those younger days, what lesson would you tell yourself as a piece of advice that you wished you learned earlier?
That it's okay to make a mistake, that you don't have to compare yourself to others. No one's better than you unless you think they are, and you're no better than others. But what will distinguish your life are the choices you make. So that's what I would tell my younger self. That's what I try to tell others, whether they're younger or not. Because even no matter the age, a lot of times people do not have a forum, a place where they can grow and learn. I have seen people older than me, younger than me, and my age who are still lacking in self-esteem, self-worth, who don't even know themselves because no one sat down to ask them, or they've not been in a position or afforded the opportunity to get the kind of training that I have. But it is a choice. I think education is extremely critical, whether you're self-taught and you take the initiative and you go learn on your own, or you get formal education. Education for me has been, I believe, a catalyst that has changed the trajectory of my life. For others, it could be experience. Getting formal education is not the only way to learn. But for me, doing what I do, I knew that that was the right path. The other thing I would say to my younger self is, and I believe I've done this, is to follow your passion.
Yes.
I believe that God has designed us on purpose, and He's given each of us desires. And if we can uncover those desires and know our strengths, as well as the areas that we are not as strong in, it'll guide our path. And I think for me, it happened when I was young, much younger, and in corporate America, and I saw consultants come into the workplace providing training on computers or some other topic. And for me, that was inspiring. And for me, I said, that's what I want to do someday. And because of that, my education, formally and otherwise, has paved the way to do that, where I go into academia, even now as an adjunct professor, go into corporate America and work in various departments within a company to train their leaders, or when I'm working one-on-one with an individual to help them and guide them to attain the goals that they have for themselves. Everything that I have done from high school on has helped to prepare me for what I'm doing today. So I believe people have to really listen to themselves and let their love and their passions guide them in the direction to attain the goals that they have. It might not be in alignment with others or the expectations that others may have of us, but they have to be courageous enough to listen to themselves within and let that guide them in the choices that they make in their lives and for their careers.
I love those lessons. And I think one stands out for me specifically because I've talked about this many times is, so I have this acronym called the HER approach: hard work, energy, and results. And it comes as an acronym for success in any industry that you're in. If you're putting in the hard work and you have the energy and you have the results, you will be successful. But that caveat is a little bit there because it's even more successful if you're finding it in that passion that you have within yourself. So if you find whatever it is that you are driven by and you have the passion and motivation for, there is no limit. And I think that those two marrying each other is, you are unstoppable. Because if you do that in any industry and you're not in love with that passion, you're going to be okay, but you're not going to have that perk in the morning to be like, I'm going to go conquer the world. But if you find that passion and you marry the two, I think at that point, it is seeping through you in every way. You are going to be that genuine, crazy, happy person that people are like, how do I become more like that person to be around?
Right.
And it's showing through every single thing that you're doing. And I also say, because I think one of the things that I think we all need, what gets you out of bed every morning?
Mm-hmm.
What is that motivation, right? That gets you to do what you do every day, all day.
Yeah.
Because very much so, we are on a hamster wheel, right? But we need to be able to be on a wheel that we are motivated and we are passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
So when we find that inspiration, that is truly our calling, because we are all very much different, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
we are so happy to do what we do, right? That energy is seeping through us, and we're just not like, okay, here we go again, another Thursday. But instead, Monday is no longer an issue, right? I always say,
Mm-hmm.
you found an amazing career and an amazing passion when Sunday nights is not an issue. When you're like, oh, I have to get up on Monday to do this again. And if you don't have that feeling, you found your calling. You love what you do and you're going to do it regardless of how many hours it's going to take you. And I say hard work because it's hard to do and be great. Success isn't just by showing up to something, right? We all have to put in the hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying the hard work has to be 24 hours, 7 days a week, but it's hard work because it takes you a lot of energy and effort to do it. And the last thing in that acronym is the results, right? As I always say, the results have to be there. You have to show that you complete something and deliver it and be able to say, I've done this. And I think a lot of people have these amazing ideas and opportunities, but they don't actually finish them. So when you marry the two with the passion and the her approach, you are unstoppable in my eyes. And I think that alongside of, the leadership opportunities that, you are inspiring is just, forget the ceiling. You're going to blast through the ceiling, but you're also going to find that, like you said, that self-esteem, that self-awareness, and you're able to stand without someone, filling in the gaps for you. You're able to be motivated, self-motivated, and you're able to see that you made it and you did it in a way that you have the respect, you have the trust from your, colleagues and your, community that you're in. And I think you do it in a way that is genuine. People see genuineness and they're able to, really distinguish you from other people because, we live in a society where everything's almost a sales pitch, right? When we go in, we get spam calls all day, we get marketing at us all the time on our social platforms. But when you hear a voice that says, hold on, this voice sounds different. How do I ensure that I'm that different voice that sounds genuine and trustworthy? And I think someone like you is the inspiration that a lot of people need and want to be able to break through those barriers, but also learn from leadership that actually is, already delivered to you in a way that comes with expertise and experience and is nothing against the younger generation. But, for some of the younger generation, it is skills that are not easily bought off of a book. They need to kind of be in the workplace, see those circumstances, learn from the leaders around them, and then be able to say, hold on, what Dr. Roundtree said actually happens and is true. So, we have those aha moments I actually have aha moments when I read books, especially about, leadership and the like. And you turn around and you go, I've been there. I've seen this. I've lived through this. And when someone from their perspective writes that in a book, you go, this is so true because it resonates, because that that's your experience as well. But at the same time, you and your community are able to share those skills and those scenarios and those experiences in a way that is very trusting and safe. And I think having that platform, especially for young women and, women of all ages, I just don't want to say young women, right, is to be able to say, how have you dealt with this? What made you be able to overcome this issue? And I think that is an opportunity that not a lot of people have or know about. So the fact that we're able to share it with this audience and be able to say, look, reach out to Dr. Roundtree, see what abilities, see what you can do with her network, and be able to share within her courses or leadership opportunities, and be able to say, how do I ensure that I continue growing? Because if we don't continue growing, we're staying stagnant. And stagnant means that you're having an issue with, the next opportunity not really being there for you if you don't kick open that door yourself. But on that, Dr. Roundtree, if I could just ask you for your last lesson. What lesson do you think, if someone's joining your community and they're able to say, I need help, how do I start? What is the first thing that someone can do to reach out to you and get help? Where can we turn to be able to find you and sign up for a course of leadership?
Sure. So I'm available and accessible on LinkedIn. I'm accessible on my website. You can get my contact information at my name, which is DeeawnRoundtree.com. My phone number directly is 561-323-3845. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes, and we'll share all those links following the podcast.
And I would tell anyone, again, regardless of age or gender, that the first thing is to identify what your source is. And what I mean by that is many of us don't know what our foundation is built on. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be likes on social media, it could be celebrities, it could be your faith. And for me, I believe that my faith has never failed me. Because of my faith and knowing whose I am, I know that the choices I make are in alignment with God's will for me. And as long as I'm in alignment with His will for my life, I can relax and rest assured that everything's going to be okay. Everything will work out for my good, no matter the circumstances. And everyone is going through something, but not everyone has someone to turn to. So I would encourage anyone to identify your source. Mine's in my Savior, Jesus Christ. And I got saved at a very young age, at 15 years old, was going through a lot as a teenager. But having that personal relationship with Jesus Christ as my Savior has been truly the foundation that has built my life up till now and will continue no matter what happens in the future.
I love that. And a message of faith and resilience at the end is an amazing lesson. So on that note, thank you so much, Dr. Roundtree, for being here with me today and sharing your amazing lessons of inspiration, leadership, and motivation.
My pleasure.
I look forward to all the opportunities that you will be working on in the future, and maybe bringing you back as to what's next and how
Would love that.
And how we can continue working with one another. For those of you listening, I hope you like and subscribe and leave us comments or what you want to hear about next in the podcast notes. And also, if there's anything we need to share with you, we will do so in the bio of Dr. Roundtree. So you will have all her links to how to be able to access her and her platforms given to you. And if you need any help from me, just reach out to me and the Top Lessons Podcast email. And on that note, thank you so much again, Dr. Roundtree. We look forward to the amazing opportunities in the future. And also for all our listeners, I hope you like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.